I'm Tenitra Batiste, and all three phases didn't show up at home like they should have.
I'm Aaron Freeman, and nothing quite hits like a Falcons blown lead.
I'm Jarvis Davis, and I was just so annoyed by this doggone defense.
ATL! ATL!
Rise up, A-Town. It's the Falcon Squad. Everything Atlanta Falcons every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the ATL. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Straight from the ATL, the Falcon Squad Show starts now.
Welcome into the Falcon Squad Show, your home for the best Atlanta Falcons football talk. I'm your host, Tenitra Batiste. Alongside me, our Locked On Falcons host, Aaron Freeman, and Locked On analyst, Jarvis Davis. The Squad Show is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So, the thing that we talked about throughout the course of last week on our various squad shows were the keys to the game for the Falcons to reset. And granted, it is not 30-0, so that's kind of a good thing, except it really didn't matter. Because the bottom line is the team that scored 30 points won in both contests in week 3 and now again in week 10 with the Carolina Panthers beating the Atlanta Falcons 30-27 in overtime. That said, guys, I want to start with you, Jarvis, because I know that you started off talking about something that we all know is very much a passion point for you, and that is how the Falcons play on the defensive side of the ball. And it was one of those days where we actually talked more about our concerns with the rush defense, right? And whether or not Rico Dowdle and or Chuba Hubbard would go off. Not especially, just 67 yards on 25 carries. But when you look at what Bryce Young was able to do, literally 31 of 45 for 448 yards and 3 touchdowns. But Jarvis, I suspect that Bryce Young's performance today is just scratching the surface of your disappointment with the Falcons defense.
Yeah, it was just so annoying how they just continue to just give up yard after yard. It's like 10 yards on. They needed 10 yards on second down. They got it. They isolated Tech McMillan on AJ Terrell at times, and he was able to get a completion. And or it was a Jalen Coker on Natron Brooks, where he's just giving up the inside on a slant route on 3rd and 6. I'm just like, man, you're beat before the ball is even snapped. The ball hadn't even thrown yet. You're already beat. It's just little things like that. They were 3 for 5 on 4th down, 60% on 4th down. You're going to lose football games if teams are consistently or are able to have that much success on going for it on 4th down. It was just like, okay, we're going for it. Yep, we don't care if we're on our side on the side of the foot on the other 50. We don't care. It's all good. We're gonna do what we do, and I think that for a guy like Bryce Young to throw for 448 yards, 448 yards. That is absolutely crazy to hear from a guy like Bryce Young. I'm like, people will try to still sell me on this guy and say, hey, man, this guy's the future. He's going to do this and going to do that, all that stuff. I hear you, but there's no way because the man is throwing 5, 6, 7 yard completions, and it was the yak yards. It was about the yak yards. You weren't tackling them when you were doing it. That's when you're playing zone coverage. You have to make tackles. You have to tackle the man exactly where he gets the football. And it was just so many instances. Some coverage breakdowns there in overtime.
Yeah.
It's just whack, T. It's whack. It's whack. Don't laugh at me, Free. You see how my voice cracking? You know what I'm saying? Got my voice cracking on this doggone show. Man, come on, man. Oh.
They broke my man. They broke my man. Oh, man.
They broke Jarvis. Well, yeah, I mean, and the Panthers were also happy to keep said defense on the field because they had the ball for 37 minutes to the Falcons 27, right? And you just look down the, scope of it, down the box score, and it was everybody. I mean, yeah, you could say, okay, was it going to be Leggett? Was he going to have the day? And McMillan ended up having the day, but literally, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Panthers players caught a pass. And when you look at not just those 9 players catching a pass, but I think Jarvis makes an excellent point about the yards after the catch. What were those guys averaging every time they touch the ball? That's the problem. When you see a long from McMillan of 39 or a long from Leggett of 36, that's when you know somewhere at the second level, you just decided you were going to not really tackle, just do, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. But for you, when you look at the defensive effort today, when you look at the defensive production today, Aaron, what was your issue, your biggest concern, your biggest disappointment about this defense?
Okay, because the way you set up that question, T, was like, I'm only allowed to have one issue, but I think,
lay it out, man. Lay it out,
you mentioned it, T, because like you talk about 9 different guys with catches, 6 of them had explosive plays, and that speaks to what Jarvis is talking about, right?
Yes.
Where the fact that like Mitchell and it's funny because like going into this game, I'm like, okay, AJ's been playing well, he's gonna lock down Ted McMillan, and of course, because it's the Falcons, one of these other, I'm sorry to the 3 Panther fans listening to the show, these bums that are on the rest of the Panthers roster are going to cook them. And it's going to be like the Xavier Leggett breakout game or whatever, going up against whoever the backup was, Natron Brooks, Kobe Bryant, etc. And it wasn't just Xavier Leggett, it was everybody. Exactly. And then unfortunately, the thing with AJ was AJ finally locks down Mike Evans in week 1. Well, guess what? We got Ted McMillan for the next 12 years because my man AJ was struggling against Ted today. And so and it's funny because you talk about the run game. Like I went into this game being like, there's no way they're going to stop the Panthers run. And they did stop the Panthers run. Bryce Young throws for nearly 500 yards. So it's like, who cares? Right. The one good game the run defense has is the worst pass defense that they had. And you just saw the limitations of this team. You saw the limitations of their depth, particularly at the cornerback position. And, late in the game, you get that big screen of Rico Dowdle that sets up the go-ahead touchdown. And, like, that's ultimately kind of the problem with the Falcons. Like, this defense is so reliant on blitzes that, like, a screen call on a critical down is the perfect call against this defense, right? Where it's just like, okay, well, they're going to bring the pressure and we're just going to throw into the blitz. What a novel concept. If only the Falcons figured out that on offense. But, where the blitz is coming from, we're just going to attack that void in the field. And you saw it almost result in a 38-yard touchdown. Fortunately for the Falcons, Rico Dowdle stepped out of bounds, but it didn't really matter because the Panthers were still in the Falcons decide they're going to rush 3. And I'm like, Jeff Ulbrich, you have rushed 3 like 3 times this entire season, and you decide to do it with the game on the line. Like, what are we doing here on a, I don't get that. Like, you've been aggressive all year long and you decided to take your foot off the gas. And it's like, that's the time okay, man, it's fine. Like if this was James Lake, I would have been like, oh, that's the classic James Lake move. That would have even been a classic Ryan Nielsen move. But like for Jeff Ulbrich of all people to kind of do that in that situation. So again, I think I'm only about halfway down the list of grievances I have for the defense. So I will turn the attention back to you guys so that you guys can talk.
No, I understand because there were more than a few egregious plays, egregious players, egregious decisions, or all of the above when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. But speaking of Jeff Ulbrich, Jarvis, when Free mentions the fact that he sent 3, and it's like, when do you do that? Like, so what did you think about the way, I would say 2 things. Number 1, the way Brick schemed the game overall, but number 2, I guess, the way that he schemed for second half adjustments, because you saw the Panthers able to score 17 points, of course, in regulation, 20 points overall in the second half. So, I mean, what was it also about the way he schemed and the way he did not adjust?
I think it was the big piece of it for me was the fact that there were a lot of D&D red flags for me down the distance. Guys playing 7-8 yards off, and you mentioned that man's name, James. You mentioned James' name, and he was notorious for that. And to see Jeff Ulbrich kind of be the violator of that is disconcerting for me, because I don't think that when you have a guy like Mike Hughes out, like for me, Mike Hughes isn't that good for you to basically change up what you're doing or what you like to do from a coverage standpoint, meaning playing a lot of man coverage. And so, with it not being that much of a drop, yes, a drop off, sure. He's a starting corner, for this team, but he's not that great for you to sit up here and say, all right, we're going to have to switch up a lot of things and start playing a lot of off coverage, start playing some matchup zone type situations. That just doesn't, vibe well with me. And to add to that, there was a certain young man that was getting some snaps and was making plays on the football. He's a UDFA. He was very popular coming into the season and throughout training camp. Kobe Bryant was playing well. And he came in after Natron Brooks fumbled the ball. Played really well. Broke on the ball, aggressive, coming up, flying up, making tackles, throwing his whole body into the tight end so he can knock him out the air and stuff like that. And he just magically disappeared. Free, I don't know about you. My eyeballs up here, sometimes I miss stuff. I'm in the press box, Mercedes-Benz. I may miss a few things. But once he went out, after he played well, I did not see the man again. I can go back on the film. I'm going to check out and double check, triple check, quadruple check, all that. You know me. I'll say, hey, I was wrong. But, man, it seems like that man was nowhere in the game after having such a – and then to add to that, we're talking about matchups, right? Natron Brooks. He was a nickel corner. He playing on the outside. Kobe Bryant got size on him. He's like 6 feet. So let's match up with these guys. Carolina got all these big behind receivers, man. And you throwing a little Natron on 3rd and 6, and they're going to run a little slant or a stop route. That's all Carolina was doing. That's all they were doing. Little baby Bryce was back there. You know what I'm saying? Had his eyes locked in on a wide receiver, and all he was going to throw it to him. He wasn't going to change, And you sit up here putting one of your smallest corners on the team on that guy that they're going to target.
To be fair, Jarvis, though, Kobe Bryant's like 113 pounds, though. He's 6 foot, but he's 113 pounds.
Free.
I got you.
Length means something to me. I'm just saying.
You're right.
He can't be Debo, but he's not going to be Debo from
like that. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that,
I got you.
And he's going to make a play on the ball, too. Like, that's what I like about corners. That's what I know you're going to roll your eyes. I know people who are listening and watching us will roll their eyes, too. That's what DR was about. He'll get beat, but at least he's going to be there. He's going to try to make a play on the ball. Mm-hmm. You just out here just backpedaling, 2-hand touch, so make sure you go out of bounds after they got the first down, bro. Like, why are you out there? I'm sorry, man. That I question that a lot, and I've never been that guy to question Jeff Ulbrich about a lot of things, but that was one thing just from a personnel matchup standpoint. If that man is out there matching up well, breaking on balls, out there just doing his doggone thing, man, you keep him in there. I don't care about feelings. I'm trying to get this dub, man. You got to play the guys that play the hot hand. That was the hot hand, and you didn't. You refused to play him again.
I wonder, again, giving the Falcons the benefit of the doubt is probably a wrong choice on my part. It felt early in the game that they were giving Natron 2 series and Kobe Bryant 1 series, and they were kind of alternating them that way. And then in the second half, that kind of went away, and Natron got all the snaps. And I wonder, did the Falcons go into this basically saying, Kobe, you're going to play 2 series and that's it? and he hit his pitch count in the first half and they were done. Or again, I don't know, because we don't get information like this. Did he get nicked up midway through the game? Because we know he's been in and out of the lineup. That's a big reason why. And so that's why they didn't go for it. But at the same time, it's just as likely that the Falcons were just like, you know what? We actually like what Natron's doing over what Kobe Bryant is doing. So again, I'm just offering possibilities. I don't know. We might get more information later this week, because you can't really trust Raheem to give you.
I pray that it's not the case.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, because I don't see anything just yet. Of course, we're watching the Twitter for post-game coverage with our Falcon Squad show member, senior Falcons reporter Tori McElhaney. So if there is any information that comes through, certainly we will let you know today. If not, certainly if we find out tomorrow, you guys catch us on that squad show and we'll get you up to speed on injuries. But yeah, the scary part is this. You guys mentioned it, and that is, while you'd like to give the benefit of the doubt that maybe there was some semblance of a pitch count or something that would be a viable explanation as to why you're not using Kobe Bryant more, the scary part is that none of us here on this show believe that there is like a legitimate reason that would make sense to us. That's the scary part, because on defense, let's be honest, guys, we haven't been having that conversation. On defense, most of what we've seen throughout the course of the season has made sense as far as strategy, scheming from the beginning of the game, making adjustments at halftime, etc. So what to me may be the scariest part, which is why, Jarvis, I know you wanted to start the show talking about defense, is the one phase that has probably been the more consistent or the most consistent of the three now looks leaky and shaky in this, a most critical division matchup. I mean, that to me might have been the scariest part of what we saw. But nonetheless, there were still some scary, leaky, questionable parts on offense as well. We'll discuss. This episode of our Falcon Squad show is brought to you by Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. See, Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same number and contacts. You'll love that you are getting the same quality service you had before, but for a fraction of the price. And the setup is super easy. You kept your number and then you're running in minutes. So ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. Upfront payment of $45 is required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time, new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigs on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. So when we look at this offense, and there definitely are some caveats to it, because Michael Penix Jr. apparently goes down with an injury. We see Kirk Cousins, and there are layers to that one that we'll talk about as well. But ultimately speaking, still 27 points, solid in terms of what the offense was able to do. But there were some moments that were questionable just in terms of the play calling for the offense. But Free, let's go from like a high level, if you will. And again, talking about the passing game and the run game. What were your thoughts as far as how Zach Robinson schemed this game today?
Well, when the ball was in the hands of Bijan Robinson and Drake London, the offense looked pretty good. So when he was scheming those guys to get the football, looked pretty good. Outside of that, little iffy, little iffy. Not all of that's on play calling. Too many drops, too many missed throws, too many penalties. All the things that this team can't afford, because essentially their problem is they do not have a good scheme. They're not a well-schemed offense. They're not a well-coached offense. Like, that is definitive. Like, I was trying to give Zach the benefit of the doubt, see what year 2 growth he would have. And so I wasn't being too critical in the first half of the season, but it's pretty definitive at this point in time that his limitations are fully apparent. And unfortunately for him, if the team isn't really sharp on their execution, it's really going to be a struggle because he's not going to be able to scheme them out of a wet paper bag, as they say. And so, nothing too egregious. Probably the one thing that you would sit there and be like, Kirk comes in the game, sneaks on a 3rd and 1, then you go back on the next 3rd and 1, you try to run it to Bijan. Everybody gets blown up. So I can't really say Carolina obviously saw it coming. And everybody on the Falcons offensive line decided, you know what? I'm gonna step out the way for this one. We'll get him on the next one, on this one. So it's you look at this offense and it's the same it's been all season long, where it's just Bijan's good, Drake is good. Everybody else?
Meh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and you're not wrong on that, because when you look down the stat line, Jarvis, and you see Bijan Robinson's numbers, 23 carries, 104 yards, a couple touchdowns, and then even the second best from a receiving perspective, because hey, he had 4 receptions on just 5 targets for 39 yards. So he gave you everything he could give you in both phases of offense. And then, of course, Drake London, 7 receptions on 9 targets, 419 yards. So Drake London gave you what he needed to do. But then you kind of look down the box score, particularly in receiving, and to Free's point, and it's like, okay, I think I sort of kind of maybe at some point saw or had a Darnell Mooney sighting, but then again, not so much if all you do is catch 3 balls on 7 targets for 34 yards, or Kyle Pitts. 2 receptions on 3 yards. Excuse me, 2 receptions on 3 targets for just 14 yards, and then it just kind of goes downhill from there. So yeah, Jarvis, the scheme, which I still want you to kind of weigh in on. So the scheme, questionable from Zach Robinson, but the execution maybe even more so from his receiving core.
You know what? In the first half, I had no issue whatsoever with Zach Robinson. None. Because MPX was out there cooking like he normally does at home. We talked about leading into this game. It was his first home game since the Buffalo Bills game, because he missed the Miami Dolphins games. I don't know, people, kind of forget that, but this is one of those instances where, like, I think Free kind of touched on this. This team isn't good enough to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Whether it be Chris Lindstrom, false start, or a holding call, Elijah Wilkinson, like, it's just so many, a drop ball here or there. The guy that you mentioned, number 8, he had the drop with Kirk, put it right where the ball was supposed to be. He just couldn't figure out a way to bring it in. I guess he threw a knuckleball or something. I don't know. Or he was running too fast, because, he's such a heck of an athlete, and everybody talk about how much of a unicorn he is. And, I think that I just don't understand how you could drop that, being a unicorn, because unicorns have such great hands and they're so fast. So
special powers.
Hooves, Jarvis, hooves. He's
hooves, yeah.
With the hooves.
No. He's a unicorn.
Okay.
He's supposed to catch the football. He's great. He's amazing. He should be paid. They should pay him. Bring him back. Give him a multi-million-dollar deal. You know what I'm saying? 2 years, $30 million, whatever. Pay him. Might as well, shoot, at this point. But no, seriously though, I think that the first half of this game, I had no issues. There was even some little nuances that we saw that it was Zach listening to the pod, because I don't know if y'all noticed, but he had a little tempo. They got a completion, and they lined down. They didn't even get back in the huddle. Those are some of the things that we have not seen throughout this entire season. So Zach was really trying in this first half, and it's just unfortunate that Carolina came out in the second half. They started keying in on Bijan a little bit more. They start locking up a little bit more. They start playing some super, super tight coverage, some questionable. Number 31, that was PI. I'm sorry. I'm never a referee guy, but that was definitely PI. And that's what has really just slowed this offense down when teams just say, man, you know what? We're not about to play zone against 5. We know we're going to eat that up. We about to lock up and take our chances and make them beat us one-on-one. And guess what happened? Even when Mike put the ball right there on the money, guys couldn't make the catch. Darnell Mooney. In the second half, he disappeared. In the second half, Bijan Robinson, I think at one point he had like 6 carries for like 7 or 8 yards. It was a total 180 in the second half of this game, and I think that goes back to my issue with Zach Robinson. When the first part of the plan doesn't work, he has no answer. In this game, fortunately, the first 2 quarters, the game plan was solid. It was rock solid. But soon as they went in that doggone locker room, hey guys, here's what we're gonna do. He never has an answer. When the opposing team does that, hey guys, here's what we're going to do. Here's what they're showing us. Here's what we're going to do to adjust to that. They never have an answer. Never. And that is all on the coach when it comes to that standpoint.
Yeah, and when you think about the fact, Free, that we're talking about not just a shutout earlier this season, we're talking about a loss today. We're also talking about a loss against the Panthers to end last season. So when you think about them and sort of the product that they put on the field, and you think about their coaching staff and their ability to make adjustments and ability to kind of see the shortcomings for the Falcons, it is kind of tough to watch from the other side saying, okay, how can they make those adjustments so well? How can they be so well prepared for the Falcons? And the Falcons are supposedly the better team, if you will, but you see those miscues, or like Jarvis said, you see kind of when you say one-dimensional, meaning there's never a shift. Like the millisecond the other team seems to figure out what your game plan is, and they come back with the counterpunch in the second half, there's no counter to the counter.
Yeah, I like to use supposedly the better team because they're not. I mean, it's been proven definitive the last couple of times the Falcons and Panthers have played. And I know, again, all the Falcon fans listening to us are going to be upset with me, but like the Panthers are doing what we thought the Falcons were going to do. They came in to this offseason, they revamped their defense. You know, they took the quote unquote lesser version of that revamp, but went out, spent money in free agency, drafted a whole bunch of defensive players, and you see that team responding, even with subpar quarterback play, except for when Bryce Young plays the Atlanta Falcons, then he's going to be elite on those days. But you know, you see that running game every week, except for this week. This was, you know, and maybe like last week against the Saints or whatever. But that running game, we're not sitting there talking about, oh, this Panthers run game needs to get going this week. They get going pretty much every week, which is we've been saying about the Falcons. Hey, when's this running game going to pop off? They did in the first half, disappeared in the second half, as you say, because once the opposing defense goes like, I think we figured out what they're doing, then the Falcons are just like, oh, they figured us out. What are we going to do, guys? Someone save us. Kirk, please save us. All that stuff. So, like, to me, the Panthers are basically the version of the Falcons. If you're Falcon fans, I know you're not going to like when I say this, but if you want to get the version of the Atlanta Falcons that you were promised, just go watch the Carolina Panthers play each and every Sunday, because that's a well-coached team. That's a team that's getting the most out of their running game. You're seeing their young, phenomenal wide receiver step up. And again, no shade at Drake. Drake's doing great.
Yeah.
About the only one on the team, him and Bijan. And then, that young defense is coming together at the right time, and they're above 500. They're like one game behind the Bucs right now. You know, they got a tough schedule down the second half of the season, but they're still in it. And so that's the version of the Atlanta Falcons that we were promised. We didn't get that because the Falcons aren't checking those boxes. Their roster is not as talented as people like to pretend it is. We know the coaching isn't up to par. And that comes together each and every Sunday where they don't find ways to win. And, Raheem's going to we got to find a way.
Right. But you know what, Aaron, I want to say this, and I'm going to let Jarvis finish it out because he's got a look on his face. But I just wanted to piggyback on something that you said, or challenge it ever so slightly. But maybe talent-wise, it's not so much that the Panthers are more talented than the Falcons are. I think it's maybe more of they're getting out of their second level better than what the Falcons are. Because if McMillan, and I'll say McMillan just because of the numbers, right? Because many think Legetta is going to be the one in terms of like his ceiling, if you will. But for the purposes of today, and the fact that McMillan was the receiver with the most yards, if you will, that's the thing, Free. They got a second guy. So if it's McMillan one day, maybe it's Legette the next, right? Or from week to week. But at least they know that if Legette is not doing it that week, then McMillan can or will. I think to me, that's the bigger issue with the Falcons. It's not that you don't have a number 2 guy that's talented. It's just that we have yet to see that number 2 guy do what he's supposed to do. And same thing on the side of their running backs, if you will. And again, this is no dig to Tyler Algier, because I definitely think there's a nice 1-2 punch there with Robinson and Algier. And Dowdle and Hubbard didn't have great days in the run game. But what did they do? They went ahead and gave the Panthers all they needed from a receiving perspective. So if your 2 running backs are not doing the darn thing in the run game, but they can be strong pass catchers out of the backfield, I'm good with that. Mm-hmm. That's the challenge. Bijan will have this amazing game, and then what are we getting out of number 2? So that's the thing where I see, like, I think they're probably stacked more evenly than we thought at the beginning of the season, talent-wise. Where I don't understand it, and again, not indicting, just saying where I don't understand is why the Panthers seem to be getting it out of their next guy, and the Falcons are not.
I think that boils down.
Yeah, go ahead, guys.
No, Free, go ahead. You go ahead.
I just that to me boils down to coaching. That's why they get more consistency out of their next group of guys. You're right, T. Like they are. I don't think they're a more talented team than the Falcons, but like. The fact that their talent shows up, or yes. Even that their premium players are showing up, and the Falcons' premium players outside of Bijan and Drake aren't showing up. Like, to me, that's where, like, to me, when I sit here and Jarvis is cracking jokes earlier about Kyle Pitts and Darnell Mooney, where it's just like, if you're not producing, if you're not performing, then I'm not going to sit here and call you talented because you're not doing it on the field. It's all a fantasy at that point in time. It's a coulda, shoulda, woulda, as opposed to what actually is.
And, you mean to tell me that the 4-4 doesn't matter? you mean to tell me that he used to dominate in the SEC? That doesn't matter right now on November 16th? As the Falcons sit here at 3-7 in a contract year, you still can't get the butter from the duck? What are we talking about here, man? I've been talking about this dude for the past 2-3 years. Charles, man, he had injuries, quarterbacks stink, but Drake London was able to be productive through all those quarterbacks that you used to call suck and can't get the ball to pass catchers. But Darnell Mooney's out, you know what I'm saying? Oh, Cal and Ocho can be, he could be the second number 2. But ball comes your way on the slant. You got a chance to make a big play, and you drop it. Oh, man, you need to center the offense around him and scheme, make him focal point of the offense. Yeah. Oh, all he got to do is just be a check down option. What are we doing? What are we doing? This man is not it. I'm just saying. I'm just gonna put that out there. I've been saying it, and I don't want to hear nothing about him no more. Don't talk to me about Ocho no more. And I ain't talking about Ocho Cinco. I'm talking about Ocho. Don't talk to me about Ocho no more. Sorry. Please, don't bring his name up anymore because you can't count on him. You can't count on him.
Well, when we come back, in the words of one of our everydayers, C. Dowson Music, we'll continue Soul Searching Sunday. This episode of our Falcon Squad show is brought to you by FanDuel. Well, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who'll score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel. Again, it's every game that's exciting with FanDuel. Why? Because you can go for it when your team's making that late push, and you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Jarvis, we have said that whether it's the Carolina Panthers or any team in the NFL, when it comes to the Falcons, they still need to be focused on winning in all phases of the game. I think we can count on one hand and maybe one finger the number of times this season we have seen this team play well in all three phases, although they have 3 wins. Today was no different. Yes, there were moments, as you mentioned, where you saw it from the offense in the first half. But if we look at it in its totality, we really didn't see it from the offense nor from the defense. But what was frustrating once again was special teams. And with special teams, you don't have that many opportunities. So when we say you have one job, that means that whatever that is, whether that is fielding the ball or whether that is making a decision on allowing a touchback or not, you only got 1 or 2 shots at it. And those are the little things that could mean the game. So once again, Jarvis, we're having a conversation about faux pas and miscues from special teams.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, people, no one wants to talk about special teams until you have to talk about special teams.
Yeah.
And you have to talk about special teams when you fumble the football and you put your defense back out on the field after they've it was just like the little water drops they drop on your forehead. That's what happened to the defense today. Bryce Young was just dropping drops of water. Yeah, there we go, waterboarding. Just the whole entire game. Every count on 3rd down, okay, all right, cool. 4th down, we're going for it. Yep, it was like, what is they get 3 yards and they just push the pile for 5. It was just certain things that don't get me wrong. When you look at what some of the things that I saw from Zane Gonzalez, I was very pleased about that. That was very calming. I had operational peace today watching Zane Gonzalez. I might regret this a week from now when they go to New Orleans. As a matter of fact, yeah, I'm going to regret it. It's going to happen in New Orleans. He's going to miss an extra point or a field goal or something to tie the game up to take the win, and they're going to mess around and lose again. Whatever. That's going to happen. But I think you can't give the opposing offense an extra possession when your defense was reeling like it was. Yeah. Specifically in the second half of this game. Like, the offense had slowed down, of course, and then your defense just could not figure out ways to get off the field, specifically on 4th down. And it seemed like Carolina had just had all the confidence in the world that, hey, even if we don't make this, our defense is going to hold us down because we made the necessary adjustments to stop what they're doing. They have nothing else. They have no answer for what we're doing. So I think that when you have Natron Books fumble like he did, that was just to give the Panthers the extra possession. Those are the type of things that you just can't have.
Yeah. And, when you look at that, Free, it's like we were saying earlier, Carolina, 37 minutes in terms of time of possession, Falcons just 27. And yeah, at that point, as the defense, you're begging, like, please, for the love of God, keep me off this field, or please at least give them, put the offense in position where maybe they're backed up, and that then gives us the opportunity to kind of pin our ears back. But special teams didn't even do that for today.
Yeah, I'll give the defense some credit. They did get a stop after that Natron Brooks fumble, so it didn't,
right.
It didn't
ultimately hurt him. You're right.
You're right. But obviously, like, you're putting the defense in a bad spot, right? Like, that's
principalities involved, Free.
Yeah, no, I got it. Like, it's one of those things where it's like you're tempting fate with that one. And it's funny because, like, I learned the kicker's name today. Like, I too, Jarvis, felt like, the person formerly known as the Falcons kicker is now, I looked it up, and his name is Did you guys hear Zane Gonzalez?
Zane Gonzalez, yes.
Okay,
That's his
okay.
name.
I
Yes.
didn't know if I got the pronunciation right.
They signed him last week.
Yeah. Okay. So the Falcons apparently have a new kicker because I just haven't been paying attention to these last few weeks. But now that I say that, of course, I'm doubling down on you, Jarvis. We're jinxing this for next week.
Oh no, bro. I'm telling you, it's gonna come down with 3 seconds left on the clock. The Falcons gonna be doggone down by 2 points, and it's gonna be a 52-yard field goal. It's gonna be the exact same amount of yards as the one that he made today, and he's gonna miss it. And Falcons gonna lose another game.
And
wow.
The crazy thing is though, like we saw last time.
You can't deny that it can't happen though. That's the bad part. You can't deny that it could possibly happen. That could happen.
Possibly. Definitely happen. So I don't know why you're putting the possible out there.
Right. What are we talking about here?
It's funny because the last time when they played the Panthers, they couldn't field the kickoffs because of all the knuckle kickoffs that the guy was doing. And on that Natron Brooks fumble, that was the one time they failed to field it. He was able to scoop it up and then, immediately got popped and fumbled the football. And so, like, you saw strides for the special teams unit today, but still it just wasn't enough, right? Bradley Pinion had a good day. I learned who the kicker was. They weren't, the ball wasn't bouncing all over the place on the knuckle punt and all this stuff. And you're like, oh, okay, special teams, like this is a normal day for you, but still you have these little issues. You even got the Jamal Agnew big return to set up the go-ahead score at the end of the game, and so it's like special teams I don't think was bad today, but it was just like it's just a couple of those little things here or there that you're just not helping because, again, that extra possession that you give Carolina, right? It was like a 4-minute possession. You talk about the time of possession. You take away that 4-minute possession. You give it back to the Falcons. You have pretty much an even time of possession sitting there right there. So, I want to give the special teams a little bit of love because I don't want to give any love to the offense or defense today. So I'm just like, okay, this was better than I've seen from this special teams unit in a long time. So I'll take what I can get with the Atlanta Falcons.
I give Bradley Pinion a little love too, Free.
Yeah, we did. We did.
He was solid. That was solid. Yeah,
but can I just say this?
He won't stink next week, but because he's a roller coaster.
Yeah. Right. I was looking at the numbers, like, okay,
like crypto. Like crypto.
Right. Five punts. And he averaged 51 yards, 2 inside the 20. So, good for him. But I think, Jarvis, the concern is with special teams is, yes, the defense bailed it out, right? So it could have been worse. But you are not a team that has the luxury to make really any errors. And like you said, I want to give special teams some credit because Gonzalez made the field goals. Let's just be honest. He did make them, although one of them looked a little shaky, but he made them.
That ball came off his leg. I was like, oh, he missed it. Oh, he made it.
Exactly. That's the thing. Right.
Awesome.
Your excitement was the fact that you were shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Like there wasn't an expectation that he was going to make it. Let's just be real. So I think for me, that's where the frustration and the disappointment comes in with special teams, because if the defense is going to stick it up like they did today, especially with pass defense, and if the offense is going to sputter in the second half, where's the balance? Like that means you're going to pretty much have to be near perfect on special teams in order to cover up what went wrong defensively and what went wrong in the second half offensively. I think, Jarvis, that's probably why I said, okay, special teams, you too. Because unfortunately, today was a day where they really did have to be near perfect in order to cover up the blemishes in the other two phases.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's it right there. We talked about how, offensively, the penalties and all that stuff can't work.
Yes.
You're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're just not good enough. And this defense, you've shown that you've been good enough. There have been games that we talk about this defense dominating. They've had dominant showings.
Yeah.
Plural. And It's just that I just don't know what it is when you play against this team. This little man baby Bryce just figures out a way to just get the ball to his wide receivers, and people just forget how to tackle, and people forget how to be aggressive, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. So when you have your special teams have a gaffe here and there, it's kind of elevated, right? It's more than what it actually is because, like you said, they have to be dang near perfect, especially when you're talking about this third element of your team. This third element team has been perfect for most years, for quite some time. It's just these past couple of years, they just got shaky, and kicker situation, and then the coverage team units have been awful. They were decent today, they were fine today, but before then they were awful. So it's just all of these certain elements of your game that we're used to being good, they just haven't been. And then you have a good outing, but it's just one or two moments that kind of little lapse, and it just there you go. Team take advantage of it every time.
Yeah. And to that point too, Jarvis, you have the lapses, Falcons, and other teams take opportunities of it, Panthers, but the Panthers have a lapse here or there, and unfortunately the Falcons aren't able to capitalize on it, at least to the point of a win. And again, that goes to you're just not playing good enough. I struggle saying you're not good enough because I do believe they're talented, but I certainly don't struggle saying you're not good enough as far as your execution, because that's what really matters. That's why we're here talking about a fifth loss in a row. That's why we're here talking about a loss to the Panthers in overtime after the Panthers found a way to lose to the Saints. So it's very jarring to be having this conversation yet again. And I don't know. It feels like, it feels like a broken record, to be honest. And I guess that's because it is, because in order for you to get 5 straight losses, something has to be broken and put on repeat, period. But we'll talk about something else that Jarvis saw in the game that made him, I don't know if I want to say feel some type of way, but he'll tell us on the other side. And we also want to say thank you to you guys for making the Falcon Squad show your first listen of the day. And thank you also for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Now, Jarvis, it's interesting because you and I and Aaron, we looked down our feed in the comments, right? And the comments are actually like a 50-50 split. Like you've got half of our audience members saying, hey, Kirk did what Kirk needed to do in relief of Michael Penix Jr. Other people are saying, wow, that was $180 million of relief. That was interesting. So I'm interested to see what your take is, because you gave us a tease pre-production about your thoughts on Kirk Cousins. So now I want you to pay off the tease.
Soon as I saw Michael Penix go down.
Because you were in the building.
Yeah, I was in the building. I saw him go down, and then they put the replay on the jumbotron here, or the Halo, and I saw Michael Penix, grab his knee when he went down. Of course, he was down for a minute, then he ended up walking up the field, but he still had a little slight limp. So I was like, oh, okay, he should be fine. Sure. Then next thing you know, as soon as 18 came in the game, I was just like, oh, Panthers defense is about to key on his run, and they're not about to be scared of this man's arm. And guess what happened? I had no faith that Kirk was going to do anything with this football in his hands, because we knew that it was going to have to be in his hands. He was going to have to make a throw. Yeah. 3rd and long, it was coming. Yeah. We knew it was coming. And I just had this feeling in my soul how I get these feelings, sometimes, especially when it comes to Falcons. I get they deep, and I can't deny. Like one of those feelings.
Just shake it.
I just can't shake it. I just can't get it off me. And I was just like, 18 gonna come out here, and he gonna be mid. He gonna be some good below mid. Matter of fact, he was some Reggie. He was some good old Reggie. Today out there on that field, and I'm not surprised. The man is 50 years old. He's 50 years old, still trying to play in the NFL. I'm sorry. This is what it is. He's coming off a major injury. He just doesn't have anything to give you. He's doing the best that he can, and that's not good enough. Soon as 9 went down, I was like, yep, this one's pretty much over. It's pretty much over.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because coming into the season, we were like, oh, he's the best, the best backup in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to make good of it. Like, hey, this is a situation you find
the positive.
Yeah.
It ain't my money, but you try to find the positive in the situation. Yeah. Don't look at me like that, Free.
I'm just saying, this feels like you're one step closer to jumping on the Easton Stick bandwagon as the QB2 in the future.
Oh man, you almost made me cuss. Bro, what was it? 108 mil T? What, $100 million, $90 million guaranteed, Brad? Boy, you better be able to do something. You better be able to leave with something. You better put it this. You better be able to leave with something, bro. You better leave.
Jarvis, Free, you got to give 18 a little credit because I mean, one of those was 8. That was on 8, not 18. But I know what you're talking about, Jarvis.
Yeah,
Free, he's talking about the body of work today overall that we saw from 18 when we saw 9 go down, and it's like, okay, 6 of 14. I mean, it's not a bad day.
It's not. What we doing?
It's a bad day. Okay,
he been in the league for how long?
It's a bad day. It's a bad day.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you're still under. No, I was. I'm not gonna even try to spin that. I'm gonna give that. Yeah, the reality is, you were under 50% on your throws, and so even if Kyle Pitts had actually caught that,
and I wouldn't even be tripping that much. I didn't mean to cut you off. I wouldn't be tripping that much if Michael Penix was struggling. Michael Penix at one point during the game, he was 90% completion. He had a 90% completion rate.
Yeah,
the man was carving these boys up out here. He was cooking until he wasn't. And he was only the reason why he wasn't because he couldn't play no more. And then you had to bring in 18.
Yeah,
18 just I know Ocho dropped the ball. Yep, I saw that. But he was throwing some medicine balls out there too now. You see Drake never came back in the game. he was done. He didn't even show up for overtime. He like, man, y'all can have this one, bro. I'm out. No, I'm just kidding. He had a knee issue. Of course, they weren't specific about what went down. We'll find out more information. Let me give you all that spiel before people be like, oh man, what Jarvis talking about? Drake don't quit on the team. No, I'm not saying that. But it's just you can see the frustration on both sides when it comes to the quarterback. Whoever the quarterback is, and then the connection with the wide receiver, this wide receiver group, man, it hasn't been right. As soon as Drake goes down, they had Cardell Hodge, David Seals, and Casey Washington out there at one point.
But Casey Washington had a great training camp, Jarvis. I don't understand. He didn't catch a pass in the preseason, but like he had a great training camp. So, I mean, David Till's caught I echo.
They still got that first down though. Hey,
There's a minute left, and I'm like, there ain't no way Kirk's leading this thing down. And then Agnew gets the 40-yard return, and then David Sills shows up, and I'm like, what? A David Sills sighting? What is this?
Man, he chopped that man up backside, bro. What? What?
I was like, oh, they got something cooking because David Sills, of all people, did something. Wow.
Kirk had a really good chemistry with David Sills in training camp.
Yeah.
That connection is there. You know what I'm saying? The European brothers, they were able to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? They found each other. They stayed together. Let me stop talking before I agree.
So unfortunately, that didn't really produce anything that was substantive or meaningful for the Falcons because at the end of the day, David Sills walks away with 1 reception on 2 targets for 11 yards. And like we said, even if Kyle Pitts Sr. would have caught that ball, that still only puts Kirk Cousins at 50% on the day. And that's not a winning combination. Let's just be real. It's just not. And so it's a scary thought, and I don't want to go too far with it, but you kind of have to because, I mean, the comments are just blowing up about it, right? And you're thinking, okay, here the Falcons are having only won 3 games on the season. And it's almost like, okay, well, what do you do? And again, I am not having a conversation that is referencing firing Raheem or firing Terry Fontenot or Zach Robinson, because our question always and will forever be, so last I checked, you got 7 games left. Who on this staff, unless you're going to make Jeff Ulbrich the interim head coach, but who on this staff could do anything to change where the Falcons are overall, right? So I'm not suggesting that Raheem be fired. I'm not suggesting that Zach be fired. But guys, I am asking you at this point, we've been having the same conversation on repeat pretty much for about 5 weeks. And in addition to that, the last 2 weeks, you're in an overtime situation and can't close it out. So what, if anything, can be changed to reset for this group? Because again, you all said it. You said it in jest, but I know you're serious. They're taking on a Saints team next week that did actually beat the Panthers. So they're taking them on in New Orleans, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is a
shucking and jiving, baby. It's gonna be a lot of shucking and jiving.
Yeah, and think about it. We didn't think that was possible last year when they took on the Saints. That's why I didn't go to the darn game when I was in New Orleans. And somehow the Saints miraculously beat the Falcons. So what in the world is it that's going to happen, that needs to happen, that could happen, that's going to keep us from having this same conversation next week?
Nothing. This was the reset, T. This game had to be the reset. There's nothing left. And Tyler Shuck, he's got a bye. He's got 2 weeks to prep. This man's going to just be running around, tossing up 40-yard bombs to Chris Olave next week. It's you know, if you're a Saints fan, it's going to be a beautiful thing. If you're a Falcons fan, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be the worst day of your life because this is what the Falcons are. And this is unfortunate. We're in a situation where I'm sitting here going like, oh, yes, Tyler Shuck versus the Atlanta Falcons. Even. This is an even matchup. These are two equal teams.
It's crazy.
We sat here at the beginning of the season like, oh, the Saints 2-15 season, number one pick. Put them on the list. Falcons climbing up that draft board. Oh boy, and I can't wait. Oh man, the more games they lose, the higher the draft. Oh wait, they don't have a first round draft pick. Oh okay, so we don't even have the offseason to look forward to because I mean at least they'll cut Kirk Cousins. We'll be done with that saga a year after it should have been over, you know. But hey, Kirk, you're doing great. You're making sure that no one is sitting here calling for you to take over for Michael Penix. I appreciate you, Kirk. I appreciate you. Keep doing.
He's consistent. He's very consistent.
He's consistent.
Right?
He supported Michael Penix from the beginning, and he's continuing to do it by going out there and just throwing ducks. And I appreciate you, Kirk. You know, you're not working out the arm at all. It's just looking like a 48-year-old quarterback out there throwing it. I appreciate you, Kirk. You're doing
90 million.
That man said,
Yes,
I'm collecting these checks and I'm gonna be out of here. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't
The
doing nothing.
The bag? I would have a $500,000 house in Atlanta just to let y'all know, hey man, y'all set me up for retirement, baby. You know, I would be surprised Kirk just walked away from it.
Yeah, I respect the hustle.
Yeah, man,
$180 million to do nothing. To play 9 games and then just like peace out, guys. I'm out.
Amazing.
Y'all
wanted it too. Yeah, I remember y'all. Not y'all, T free. I remember y'all. I remember all y'all. All y'all wanted him in him. Mm-hmm. Sure did. Kirko, baby. You know what I'm saying? Kirko chains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, swag surfing, all that. Mm-hmm.
All right, now.
T came in like somebody mom lied. Now y'all calm down enough.
Don't let us get going, T.
I know, right? Like
this is what you call dribbling out the clock.
You only have, I was going to say, Jarvis, you only have 90 seconds to dribble out the clock. Literally. So can you please just answer my question? If you can find a way to answer it. I think Free gave his honest opinion, his honest thought, which was nothing. Because I want to know, like, at this point of having the same conversation for 5 straight weeks now, what the heck can, should, will, etc. happen so that we're not having this conversation after the Falcons travel to New Orleans next week to take on the same Saints team that beat the Panthers, and to Free's point, have an off week, a bye week to figure out how to beat the Falcons.
Don't lose 6 in a row. Don't lose 6 games in a row.
But how?
They ain't gonna win that challenge, Jarvis.
Arthur Smith never lost 5 in a row. Arthur Smith never lost 5 games in a row. Never. This is worse than the last guy. He never lost 5 games in a row. So don't lose 6. Because if you lose 6, who's to say you're gonna break it against the Jets? They could easily come in. You could easily go up there and get your butt kicked. Easily.
Yeah, it's going to be a very intriguing.
You at the bottom of the barrel in the NFC South too, if that happens.
Yeah, and and it's a sad commentary because none of us thought that was the conversation we were going to be having to end this season.
You're over in the division.
Over in the division. Yeah, never thought we'd be having that conversation at all, but here we are.
Yep.
Well, everydayers, we appreciate you for making the Falcon Squad show your first listen of the day in spite of it all. Be sure to stop by Locked on Falcons with your host, Aaron Freeman, for more post-game coverage shortly if you can stand it. And the Falcon Squad show and Locked on Falcons are part of the Locked on Podcast Network.
I'm just going to stare at the camera the whole time.
Day. We will see you.
No words.